Namaskar. At first, I would like to say a few words in general about these sessions. I will endeavor to limit each session to 30 minutes or even less to the extent possible. I am aware that the attention retaining ability is much less for most viewers these days, but the nature of our topic is such that these concepts cannot be compressed any smaller. Therefore, I would like to request you to consider completing these sessions with multiple viewing if 30 minutes is too long a time period for you. What is important is to understand what is being shared here. I'm trying to compress it as much as I can. It took more than 40 years for me to grasp it and convert it as my own knowledge. Likewise, if you wish to make it your own, it needs some efforts and commitment on your part. It is the same basic knowledge you will receive if you learn the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. I'm not saying that you need not study Upanishads and Gita any longer. All that I'm saying is that you will understand Upanishads and Gita much better if you re-listen to those teachings with the basic understanding already in place for you. I am reframing the same basic spiritual fundamentals in a logical format so that it is easier for the present day minds to comprehend. Still, you need to keep an open mind while listening to it and do mananam and nididhyasanam. Mananam is contemplation of the topic by rolling it in your mind. Nididhyasanam is the application of the principles understood in your daily life. This is the way forward to make this knowledge as your own. Outright rejection or outright acceptance will not help. Now, let us move on with the topic. We have already seen that everything is consciousness. All that is consciousness. We are consciousness, holding and working through a body and mind. The ultimate truth is consciousness. The ultimate truth is defined as the one that is eternally self-existing. It is the one that is all-pervasive, and it is the one that is changeless. Therefore, naturally, the entire cosmos and everything in it has originated from the all, because there was nothing else in the beginning for anything to originate from. We decided to call the ultimate truth the all. Religions called it God. Ancient sages from a time before the formation of religions, some 2600 years ago, called it Brahman. Tantra called it Parasamvit. We will call it the all for now, because everything is produced by it, everything exists in it, and everything eventually returns to it. We have logically seen that the nature of the all is ever existing, all pervading, always unchanging, invisible, all-knowing, and ever blissful. However, we cannot know the all because we are also the same stuff as the all, and we cannot therefore have a subject-object relationship with the all to know it. For knowing anything, a subject-object relationship is required. Instead, we have a subject-subject relationship in this case when we try to know the all. We are ourselves that which we are trying to know. Hence, knowing the all is not possible. This much is very logical and clear to us till now. But there is one problem. If we are also the same stuff as the all, we should also be ever existing, ever all pervading, always unchanging, invisible, all knowing, and ever blissful, just as the all is. All of us want to be ever existing, all pervading, always unchanging, invisible, all knowing, and ever blissful. But we are not that. We die, we are here, but we are not there. We are always changing and shifting. We are visible. Our knowledge is far too little and highly fragmented. We want to be always happy and joyful, but we are never happy and joyful. Although we are truly consciousness ourselves, we do not experience the true nature of consciousness. Why? Why is that so? Tantra says this is because we are in a heavily stepped down state of existence. We and the all are the same consciousness, all right, but we are stepped down and made extremely limited through a mechanism of 36 tattvas or 36 principles. When we understand these 36 tattvas, we will come to know where we stand today and how we came down to this limited state of existence from that original pristine highest state. We will then recognize the need to return to the original state, or at least return as close to the original state as possible. We will recognize that our current suffering is due to our lack of knowledge of this trapped condition in this heavily stepped down state, and also due to our wrong identification with that which we are not. This stepping down is similar to how the 500,000 volts or more of the electricity generated in a power plant is brought down to our 220 volts or 110 volts power used in our homes, and then further down to 24 or 12 volts power used in our LED lamps at home. It is essentially the same electricity, but it is stepped down through a nationwide distribution system of power lines, substations, transformers, and power drivers. This is just an analogy to give you an idea of the stepping down process. Before looking into the stepping down process in detail, I wish to give you a quick contextual overview of humanity today. All numerous religious, spiritual, and devotional practices, such as the sacred text reading, various ritualistic activities, temple or church worshipping, charitable activities, various psychophysical practices like yogasanas, pranayam, meditations, etc., are all essentially the activities designed to step up or expand our consciousness to higher and higher states, so that the reversal of these 36 stepping down processes is made possible at every individual level. Unfortunately, it is seldom done with a clear understanding of this bigger picture. Each one of us at our different respective levels of this reversal process, even though we are not aware of it. We have seen in our earlier sessions that we need to have the three essential components, namely the will, knowledge, and action triad, to accomplish anything at all. To undertake this return journey, we need to have knowledge in the first place about something called the return journey itself. Only with that knowledge, we can undertake that action required for the return journey. To develop the knowledge, we need to have the desire or willpower to acquire that knowledge. To have that desire, to develop the knowledge, we should have knowledge about such a need to start with. It is a catch-22 situation. Giving a solution to this catch-22 situation, the ancient sages asked us to start either with the path of devotion or with the path of knowledge first, depending on our current level of intellectual suitability. When we progress sufficiently in this one, it will easily lead us to the next one. Together with the knowledge and devotion thus acquired, we can embark on the path of action aimed at our return journey, namely the expansion of consciousness or stepping up of consciousness by undoing what we have ignorantly done. The ancient sages suggested us to start practicing devotion by simple activities like textual reading, japas or recitals, listening to purposeful and exemplary stories, worshipping with the help of symbols, etc. If we are disinterested in developing the knowledge to start with, facilitating these entry-level practices is the original role and intention of all religions. Religion is like the kindergarten school. We need to move on after learning the alphabets, don't we? If we are inclined alternatively for knowledge acquisition, we can start with studying advanced ancient texts such as Upanishads, or by serious studies of modern quantum physics about holographic universe, etc. Either way, do it sincerely. This is all about walking the talk, living a life using body and mind with a full understanding that we and everything around us are the same consciousness as the all or the Brahman. Tantra gives methods for starting the return journey suitable for all types of personalities, whether one is a religionist at kindergarten level, when we still think that we are the body, or whether one is at the spiritual level after our understanding that we are not this body, but we ourselves and everything else around us too are conscious spiritual beings of one type or other. That is to say, everything, minerals, matter, plants, animals, and humans are all spiritual beings with varying degrees of consciousness. When this information becomes your own personal, intimate knowledge, let that reflect in all your interpersonal relationships with everything around you. We have seen in the previous session that the Big Bang was some 13.8 billion years ago in terms of our earthly years, according to popular scientific estimations. To put you in the contextual perspective, at a practical level, we can divide existence broadly into two segments. Segment 1 is the sole existence that was there before the Big Bang event and creation of the cosmos. Segment 2 is the multiple forms of existence after the Big Bang event and the creation of the cosmos. Before the Big Bang event, there was no time, no space, and no rules of causation in place. We can call it pre-Big Bang period to make that distinction. We cannot call it pre-Big Bang time because there was no time or space in that segment. All that there was is the ultimate consciousness, the all, the Brahman, the Parasambit, eternal, all-pervading, never-changing, full of willpower, all-knowing and ever-blissful state of pure being. Now that we have made clear distinction between religion and spirituality, I will therefore start using the original word Brahman instead of using the all. Words are sounds and sounds are significant as they are also coming out of consciousness. So now onwards I will use the word Brahman instead of the word the all. There was no second thing whatsoever in the pre-Big Bang segment. To get an idea of this state of existence, I suggest you to close your eyes and imagine that you have no body, you have no mind, there is nothing around you, there is no one around you, no building, no world, no sound, no light, all that there is just a field of intense awareness of being fully alive. What I just described is a poor imitation of the state of Brahman in the pre-Big Bang period. This will give you an idea. There was only that eternal, all-pervading, never-changing, full of willpower, all-knowing, ever-blissful state of pure existence of absolute oneness, no duality whatsoever. No second thing. Meaning, there was nothing else that existed to make anything out of it. In a state like that, the cosmos would have surely come out of Brahman itself, just as how a spider makes its web out of itself. There was nothing else in existence anyway. It was with the Big Bang that the universe, space, time and rules of causation came into existence. Post-Big Bang time again can be divided into two. Now we can call it time because time has come into existence now. One, before the recorded history began, which is the time period prior to some 4,000 years ago. And two, after the recorded history began, which is roughly the last 4,000 years. Organized religions were formed only in the last 2,600 years of this 13,008 billion years of the post-Big Bang period. Do you realize the comparative significance of 2,600 years and 13.8 billion years? If you consider the Big Bang happened 24 hours ago, organized religion started some 1 by 100th of a second ago, and the recorded history started some 1 by 50th of a second ago. This is a minuscule of time to understand the evolution of human consciousness in the light of the recorded history. Homo sapiens, the first modern humans, evolved from their predecessors some 300,000 years ago, 3 lakh years ago. It is a very, very long time indeed compared to the 4,000 years of recorded history. The universe that sprang out of the ultimate consciousness, the Brahman, through the Big Bang, is a conscious universe made of and existing in consciousness. Everything that such a universe has produced and supported is also equally conscious, made out of consciousness and existing in consciousness. It cannot be otherwise. human consciousness had indeed expanded to a very high degree in this 300,000 years. Great civilizations had risen and fallen before the recorded history began 4,000 years ago. Ancient Indians as well as Greek sages have spoken about the quality of time. Whether you noticed it or not, time is a created material and it has a quality. Anything created has a quality. The Greek called it the Kairos time. The best way to recognize how time influences our consciousness with its quality is to consider in general our state of mind at 3 a.m. in the morning and 8 p.m. in the evening. Early morning hours will be really peaceful and relatively free from temptations. The hours after nightfall will be less peaceful and more susceptible to temptations. We will talk about the quality of created objects later on when we talk about the gunas in the context of 36 tattvas. For now, it is sufficient to point out that both the Indian and Greek sages had divided time into 4 epochs based on its level of influence on expanding or contracting human consciousness. Civilizations have risen and fallen as a result of these influences of time on expanding and contracting human consciousness. Right now, the quality of time is influencing the expansion of consciousness. That is why I am able to tell you this and you are able to follow what I am telling. Therefore, we should be careful in rushing into conclusions that nothing worthwhile existed before 4,000 years and ours is the only great civilization ever existed on planet Earth. It's absolutely foolishness. Tantra explains that the willpower of Brahman to create was first formed as an idea in Brahman. Tantra says the idea was a thought, the subtlest precursor to all creations. Brahman thought aham bahusyam, as narrated in Tantra in Sanskrit language, which means in English, let me become many, meaning let the one become many. Now, think of this. Where will the creation occur? What materials will Brahman use for creation? Creation can only occur in Brahman itself. Brahman can use only what Brahman is by itself for creation because there existed nothing else other than Brahman itself. Hence, creation exists in the mind space of Brahman and creation is made out of Brahman. So we and the entire universe exist in the mind of Brahman and we are made of consciousness which is Brahman. Following the thought of aham bahusyam, because Brahman has the will, knowledge, action, power, the process instantaneously started. From within the field of Brahman itself, the inherent Shakti, the power, the energy of Brahman started getting churned and began to separate itself, much like how cream comes out of milk. Then, from the Shakti or power, the Om sound was generated. And from the Om sound, a Bindu or a condensed point was formed in a segment of the mind portion of Brahman. The center of the Bindu is called Brahmapada and the circumference of the Bindu is the Maya. What followed is the Big Bang, which is the bursting opening of the Bindu with cascading energy. Energy and matter are mutually interchangeable. Matter is the grosser form of energy. Big Bang was the kick-starting of creation and the onset of the involution process involving the 36 tattvas. More on that in the following sessions. Thank you.